Welcome to Truth and Transparency's first ever live replay, same day, so that the subs and members that couldn't make the earlier time slot, they can be here now, and they can have someone to chat with while they watch probably one of my favorite episodes I've ever done. So you get to enjoy your live chat feature and check out this episode from 1 o'clock earlier today. Dear TNT family, today is a very special day for the channel. I am beyond humbled and grateful for our guest, Scott RODER. RODER is a forensic crime scene expert with years of experience both nationally and throughout other countries.
2018, a case that made national is getting an appeal hearing after alleging misconduct by a juror who was Deltondo's next door neighbor. New information also came to light about other members of the jury.
There was jury members that were talking to each other, laughing, and it's here in notes. That type of conduct can't happen.
In a multiple-page affidavit, Sheldon's appellate attorney plans to ask a judge on Tuesday morning to take the next step for Sheldon to get a new trial.
That's just right. That we get this new trial.
Scott's resume speaks for itself, and the subscribers and members of Truth and Transparency have an exclusive opportunity to interact with one of the world's best when it comes to the science of crime scenes and to hear how important the beginning phases of an investigation are to secure a conclusion that ends with a successful prosecution of the right person or persons. Scott is no stranger to working with lawyers, PIs, and law enforcement, as well as working for defendants that need his testimony and skill set to see to it that they aren't wrongfully convicted. Today's live broadcast focuses on the brutal reality of 4 victims from the University of Idaho, Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie, who have lost their lives at the hands of a coward or cowards. These 4 college students were ambushed while in the comfort of their home, while sleeping in the middle of the night, early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, were stabbed to death on the 2nd and 3rd floors of a 3-story off-campus Moscow, Idaho home, while 2 other roommates on the 1st floor were unharmed and were neither witnesses nor suspects as they slept through the attacks, according to authorities. Please understand that the conversation today may be difficult to hear and engage. With that said, please be respectful if you choose to engage with the live chat feature. All opinions and questions are welcome so long as they are presented respectfully and at appropriate times. No spamming of the live chat will be permitted. Truth and transparency live chat moderators reserve the right to time out and block any live chatter for any reason. Again, thank you guys for being part of the amazing TNT family. Hot Ham Radio, you a beast. Hi guys, welcome. First time ever live replay, same night, because that was that special. I just wanted some people that couldn't see it live to feel like they could still experience it. So I stayed up to do this so that you guys could have the chat. You guys could feel like this is just happening right now. I care about all my subscribers and members. I get it that people's schedules, where they live, time frames, zones, they clash, they differ. So if you could be here now, enjoy it. If you were here earlier, thank you so much. How are you, Scott?
Good. How are you, Lana?
Good. First of all, I want to introduce you to Truth and Transparency. This is the first time you've ever been on a social media platform, correct?
Yeah. I mean, for this kind of an interaction.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
I'm not a subscriber to social media at large, but it's good to be here, and hello, everybody, and hopefully we can have a good discussion.
Well, yes, and we are going to have a great discussion. Again, hello to everybody that is in chat. This is a very, very unique opportunity, one of the best. Please just be kind in chat. Talk amongst yourselves. When it's that time for the Q&A, throw your questions up. Those last 20 minutes, we're really going to focus on interaction with Scott, with the viewers. But kind of like, we want to hear from you. I think the viewers want to hear about this case in terms of from a expert's point of view, with just, I mean, starting from the beginning and you know, all the way through. But kind of, if you would just maybe explain a little bit like your background with how you even got into this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I've been doing this for, I guess, 24 years now. I started off in photography, and then, working through Cleveland area companies. I got involved in doing reconstruction with the Cleveland Police Department on behalf of defending police officers accused of police officer involved shooting cases. And then that kind of evolved, through my 20s, where I went back and studied at the University of New Haven School of Forensic Science under a friend of mine, Dr. Henry Lee. And really that was the time where, after that experience, I started my own company, the Evidence Room, in 2001, where really since that time, I've been focused on putting together the physical and forensic evidence to do reconstructions, whether it's a shooting scene reconstruction or a edged weapon. We've done many of those. So a lot of times it comes to physical experimentation and putting the process in front of the court so that they can see the experiments that you do to come to forensic conclusions, and also putting together animations to demonstrate the totality, of the interrelationship of the evidence. And that's essentially what we do, is the contextual analysis of the interrelationship of the evidence, and present that as an expert witness in court.
Okay. So when you said that you started off and you were actually with Cleveland and working with the police department, would they involve you in like, hey, right away, there's a homicide, we want you to come down and
No, I was very young at
okay.
that particular time, maybe 20, 21 years old. And that's when, based on the photography that I had, I got involved in litigation with the law department for the City of Cleveland Police Department. So the City of Cleveland Police Department is defended by the Department of Law,
Gotcha.
which is part of the City Hall.
Okay.
Right. So I would work as a contractor through the City Hall Law Department in defense of Cleveland police officers accused of fatal shootings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've done, I mean, I'd have to sit here and it would take me 2 hours to read, all basically your resume. Kind of just for this is my own question is, have you ever got to the point where you're like, I can't do this anymore? This is too, does it bother you?
Well, I mean, when you're involved in, death and every day for, 2 decades, there's a struggle to, I think, not be jaded.
Yeah.
And see the worst in people. But
see, I look at it like as much as like, I think what would get me through something like that is just knowing that how many people's lives you've saved or families and stuff like that with being able to, if somebody's about to be wrongfully convicted, you can testify on their behalf, or for a police officer, same thing.
Yeah, but it's always tragic,
Yeah.
It's even in the cases where we've had just recently here in Cleveland, I testified on a case. This guy John Tajan been in jail for 28 years for killing Brian McGarry, one of his best friend at the time, in Cleveland in 1989, and it took us 28 years to get a new trial ordered, and that's a great thing. Very happy for him, but that's 28 years of his life.
Yeah.
It took 28 years to correct the record.
Yeah.
So it's never just a celebration, it's always a mitigation to it. It's always a bittersweet victory, even when it is a victory. So there's no rejoicing in winning. It's just, I think that's where you have to take an unemotional approach. A lot of people, they talk about the feelings and emotions regarding these cases. And my typical response is that's not my department.
Okay.
My department is, well, what are the facts? What can we learn from the physical and the forensic evidence? And, how can that help find out what the truth is without pride or passion?
Yeah. So basically being unbiased, right?
Well, you have to be unbiased. There's a lot of experts in this world that, for example, in the world of police law enforcement expertise, there are more people than you would think that only testify for the police. And then there's a lot of people that only testify for the plaintiff. I consider those people ideological.
Okay.
I'm not ideological. I don't automatically think the cops did anything wrong, nor do I automatically think anybody should be killed. I think every case has to be looked at on a very individual basis, and I have no problem testifying against the police department in civil or working for the prosecutor's office in trying to get a conviction. I think you have to look at all of those things as each individual case has an element of truth that has to be found. And I'm not looking to take sides with anybody, or am I looking to judge anybody's character? It's simply, what does the evidence say?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when we've talked and you've said, that's what I love about you, is it's like, hey, this is the evidence. This is what it says.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I was like, hey, have you seen this, Idaho 4? Like, have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah. Actually, one case I did in Cleveland, Ohio, about, I want to say, probably 15, 16 years ago now. I did with a friend of mine, great attorney by the name of Marcus Sidoti. It was a death penalty case.
Okay.
This guy, boyfriend of a mother with a 10-year-old child, and the guy got high on a wet joint, which is, I guess, marijuana with crystal meth on it.
Oh, really?
And became so high that he went to the emergency room, and they didn't treat him. Ultimately, he left before they could get to him, and he goes back home, and he gets high again because he came down a little bit. Not a very good decision, the involuntary intoxication. And then he started hallucinating, and he took a large knife and he almost decapitated a 12-year-old, his girlfriend's 12-year-old or 10-year-old son that was sitting on the couch playing video games. That's probably the only case that I've worked on that's as brutal as this case. Most times, most murders that I've worked on, it's always a man who's dead. Almost always. 99.5% of the time, it's always a man, right? And
that's the victim.
Yeah, usually the victim is always a man. 95% of the time. And I think my last check, I've worked on over 1,000 cases.
Yeah.
So
this case with 3 women
and one guy killed at the same time, in the way that they were killed. I was absolutely shocked by this, and it takes a minute to get your head around the type of an individual that can do that. I think you have to put a big pause there. This isn't a traditional crime of passion where this lover jilted me, or, you know, I'm going to leave this person, and not that kind of a thing.
Like a domestic where let's like they lived at that house or something like that, and it was just 2 people. Right.
Yeah. Because even in those cases, there's rational and irrational things that happen, right? So it's understandable if 2 people are in a relationship and one person feels jolted and they killed each other. It's not justifiable, but you can understand it. You can get your brain around it.
There's some like the motive, the situation.
Yeah, you can get your brain around it. It's not excusable, but you can understand it. Yeah, but this is hard to understand, this case. So yeah, I think that was my first reaction is, you know, is this some kind of a serial killer?
And what's your thoughts about, you know, that word right there, you know, serial killer? I was going to actually pull up a little bit of the drone footage just so like to show the housing again. But in terms of, what do you think about when you think of serial killer? You're thinking no ties to a person in terms of random.
Yeah, pick a victim at random, or, you know, you could pick a victim with a purpose, but the victim doesn't know the purpose.
And the victim usually doesn't know the person. This is the replay
in a
crew.
Serial killer type of situation, they're looking for a type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody some people that represent something they hate. It doesn't have to be that individual person that they hate, but they're the kind of people that they hate.
Got you. So, yeah, it's like, I don't know you to hate you, but whatever you represent, I hate.
Right, because you have something that I don't have.
So in this situation, let's just throw this out there. Would you consider somebody to be a serial killer if these people, they were all involved with the Greek life? So they were involved in sororities and fraternities, and they got obviously bidded on. They rushed, they were bidded on. So could this be somebody that maybe rushed and wasn't bid on, like in terms of you have something that I want, or is that when you're saying like?
I mean, that's a very good point right there, because I'm thinking, well, what did they have that was taken away from them all at the same time? They had each other, right? So I think this person, whoever did this, was very jealous that these people had each other. That's why all 4 of them were killed in the way that they were killed, I think. But
you would, it's without seeing obviously the crime scene to know like this, for example, like this, would it be possible that the reason that 1 or 2 of the victims were killed is because they simply, you know, heard something, walked out of a room, or was it, you know what I mean? Or what do you think?
No, not at all. This is way bigger than that.
Way bigger than that?
Way bigger than that. This is the kind of a crime scene that is so, it's a very contradicting kind of crime scene.
Contradicting, okay.
Yeah, because it's so brutal.
Okay.
And seemingly so unhinged that you would think was a madman.
Right. Like,
However, it was not a madman because madmen always get caught right away.
bingo.
There's the contradiction.
So you would think, like anybody normally would think, oh my God, who would do such a thing? This person is a mad person.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, okay,
raving
yeah,
lunatic.
raving lunatic. They're
Raving
just, total mental illness type of stuff and wasn't being
Right.
treated, and that they would then get caught.
Right.
Well, we're at a month here. Would you think that if it was this raving lunatic mad person, that they would have been caught by this point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because you think about the sheer fact of taking a knife, I'm assuming it's a knife similar to this, right?
Okay.
Taking a knife like this, and if you've never
How,
killed,
can I ask how big that is? Like, how many inch?
I think it's 13 inches from here to here.
13 from tip.
From here to here.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's like 18 or 19 from the end all the way.
Wow.
So I mean, I think it's.
That's like when you like actually put that on the screen, like the first time to see somebody like holding it.
Yeah.
That's way, like, it's not like it's 6
No.
inches.
This is a heavy,
Is that considered like, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a heavy knife, and you can go,
Wow.
right? This is a powerful weapon, and this is probably the kind of weapon that was used.
Wow. Wow. And it would like, who would ever, would you say, who would ever have that? Like, who would ever be like,
I acquired this at a sporting goods store,
okay.
and I used it for an experiment that I worked on.
So, but you have it because of what you do.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
mean, anybody can buy this. If you're a hunter, you might have something like this. If
I don't
you're a
have,
deer
you
hunter,
guys.
Or if you're going out there and you want to gut a deer after you shoot
I don't
a
have
deer,
one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So I don't
it's
have
a perfect
one of
knife to gut
So
a deer.
for a hunter would have that.
Sure, or any kind of a survivalist.
Okay.
You could chop wood with this part right here. You can chop down a tree with it on the side.
And so like for somebody that would be living in like a college dorm or a college
This
fraternity.
is Idaho.
Yeah. A lot of hunters, like you start hunting young.
Yeah, I've been to Idaho. I just, I've been to Idaho. It's rugged land. I've done cases up in Wyoming. It's not unusual that cowboys have a knife like this on their holster. In a sheath. These aren't very uncommon. You can go up to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy one right now, probably for $40.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
I mean, I would think that they'd be more money, but $40, you just,
yeah. $40. Yeah, they're not expensive.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And I didn't buy this special for today. I was like, as I was logging into this thing, I was like, oh wow, look.
at what yeah. Well, I'm sure you've done gazillion reenactments, so I could see that you'd have something like that. So when you're thinking of this case that they're 19, 20, 21-year-olds, the time of death, they were, sleeping or could have been sleeping in beds, the layout of the house, like, I could pull that up and show you a little bit of this drone footage. I think the first question is with the amount of blood, how do you leave the residence and not have it out your path to leave? Would it be there? The dripping of like that knife, if you're leaving with that, obviously, because it wasn't left behind.
Yeah.
Could it
Well,
be
you can clean off a knife and put it in your jacket and not,
in that drip?
Yeah, but my guess is because of how bloody this crime scene is going to be, that whoever did this either brought a change of clothes or was wearing coveralls, but that's so demonic to think that somebody would go that prepared.
But when you say like coveralls, like you mean like a bib in terms of like a hunting gear?
No, it's like something to cover your exterior clothing that after the killing you could rip away, throw in a bag, and take with you.
So that after you were done, you would take that off, put in a garbage bag.
Yeah.
And but what about your
Wear a pair of
shoes?
wear a pair of painter's coveralls.
Okay,
Like
and then
for
what
your-
about your
yeah.
what about like your shoes?
Well, you'd have to put like little booties on, like a painter would have walking through your house. So a painter, whoever, like if you're a painter, you would have all the equipment that you need. You'd have the white coveralls that zip up the front. You'd have a hood so that your hair wouldn't be around. You'd have rubber gloves, and then you'd have little cloth booties around your shoes. And then after the killing, you could take all of it off, put it in a bag, crumple it up the size of your fist, and take it with you. But think about that.
But that requires
Think about that level of planning. That's not a madman. That's a cool, calculated, calm, patient, motivated murderer to be able to do that. Now, what are the other options? The other options are you go into the house, you do the killing, you take off all of your clothes because you're going to be covered in blood, and then you steal clothes from the people that are there that aren't bloody, and you wear their clothes out. But that means you would have to either take your bloody clothes with you or leave your bloody clothes behind.
which you would leave potentially. Do you believe that this person would have cut themselves, or that the people that were the victims would have scratched, or?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one thing that I fully agree with the family when they make statements that everybody should be on the lookout and everybody should be worried.
I agree with you on that.
I agree.
100%.
And I think the other thing is people need to be looking out for men or a man. I've heard other experts in this case say they think it's two people. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know how you can get two people of like mind, of like calmness, of like calculation to do this horrendous act, right? So I'm still more of the opinion that maybe it's a single person.
Mm-hmm.
But a strong, definitely a man, most likely a white man, most likely a white incel, like one of those involuntary celibate type people.
Interesting.
And definitely somebody who has injuries. If anybody out there that's watching this knows anybody over there that was involved in Idaho or across the border in Washington that fits that description, that has injuries to their hands, knuckles, face, scratches around their neck area, around their face, around their eyes, that maybe have gotten a brand new haircut, that maybe are wearing clothes that they've never worn before. Like those are the people that I think you should be looking at. Because I think the evidence is indicating to me that Seth, right?
Ethan.
Ethan. He was found not in the bed.
That's
on the floor.
That's what they're trying. We're getting conflicting stories, but from what his mom, his mom came out with an interview right away, and she was saying that they were found in the same room, but she didn't necessarily say that they were in a bedroom, but they just said that they were in the same room.
Right.
So yeah.
But there was a report of an unconscious person on the floor.
Well, correct, but they were trying to say that could have possibly been because the person that originally called 911 when she was going outside of the house, that she fainted. So then the person that's the friend was like, oh my God, I have an unconscious person here. Oh. Or was it because of the person inside? That's right. Being still kind of not being cleared.
Yeah.
But let's go with it if it was the person. Let's say that it was because of an unconscious person.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing is we need to know now maybe not we need to know, but what law enforcement needs to know, or what I'm sure they're looking at right now, is the defensive injuries that each of these people would have had, and also the toxicology of all four of the. That's extremely important for a number of reasons. That is helpful to determine were they given a drug that made them more non-responsive?
You know, it's funny that you say that, and not funny, but it's interesting because the coroner that was interviewed about that, they asked about the toxicology, and she said, I don't see that being an issue, being relevant in this manner of death or, you know.
Of course it's relevant because it goes to the state of mind of the deceased and whether or not they had the ability to fight back. So it's extremely relevant from the standpoint. Also, people that are extremely intoxicated, for example, their blood, they bleed faster. Their blood is a little thinner, right?
Yeah, when you get tattoos, they tell you not to drink, right?
Right. Yeah, because it makes you bleed more, right? And then they could be coming down from drugs as well, which will lower their ability to have any kind of acuity, right? I'm not blaming anybody. They're 21 years old. I'm not. Blame anybody. This is just people doing their regular life that got caught in a horrific situation. So it's not a judgment of character on anybody.
Yeah.
It's more of what are all of the factual. What are all the things that made this happen? Because a lot of things had to go perfect for the killer to get away with this.
Interesting. So a lot of things had to be
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to go the killer's way.
And do you think that in this situation, I mean, without seeing the crime scene,
right,
was there anything that was a surprise? Like, for example, two roommates, bottom floor. There was 2 beds on each level with
right,
a bathroom on each level, but the middle level was where your living room and your kitchen are, and then you
right,
had your third level, which had two bedrooms
right,
and a bathroom, and then you had your bottom, which had 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and like a laundry. So, did this person or persons, the 2 surviving roommates, not hearing anything, you know, I fault them not at all for like not waking up until like 11 or noon or whatever, like that's normal for college kids. But what do you, in terms of if this is not a mad person and there was some calculation here, you know who all lives in that house, where their windows are, like they could see out obviously the front, but now they have no windows in those 2 bedroom where those girls were to see out the back or.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the layout of the house. I mean, it looked like it was buttoned up pretty good, you know, for bedtime. There didn't seem to be anything obviously out of order. I think that there's going to be critical witnesses coming from the apartment building that's in the front. You know how that house is kind of a little bit.
Yep.
To the would be if you're looking at a photograph of it, to the left side of the apartment of that house is an apartment building, but it's in the front more.
Yeah.
There's buildings on the side. There's windows on the side, people's bedrooms, and I know that there was a male that gave a statement, saying that he heard a scream at about 4 a.m. and that he saw a black SUV that he hadn't seen before in that driveway. But that's all that the statement was. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a Hyundai, but I haven't heard a lot of talk about a black SUV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're that is out there, 100% that's out there. I think that he would have been able to, like, there are those trees up along that side. Could he obviously, you know, see whatever, you know, being parked there, especially if it's more towards like the front of the pulling up the driveway? Yeah. Is it weird to you that they wouldn't hear anything? Do you think that there wouldn't be screams?
I mean, it's cold, you know, I'm sure everybody's windows are down, or, you know, windows are shut, everybody's heater's on. So to hear a scream.
And then you have your TVs on, you know.
Yeah, right, whatever. You know, there's a lot of ambient noise. Although it's a small town, it might be quiet, but it's a college town. I'm sure it's not unusual to hear somebody make a noise at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think it's important that every lead gets followed up on. And the thing that's really tragic is the window. You know, we've all heard, you know, 48 hours is the most important time after a murder to find out who, you know, to catch the killer.
Yeah.
Right? And it's been almost a month now, or how long it's been? Over a month. This whole community ran for the hills after this happened.
Yep.
So there's no way to do a head count of who's there still versus who's not there that should be there.
Exactly. And yeah, because it was basically like given away to be like, hey, if you want to start doing your classes online, you can. If you want to stay here and do them, all the teachers are going to be working with that. I think that it's important to look at the students that opted to do, the Zoom. Not saying that they're guilty, but you're giving people a way to not be able to do their everyday life the way that they used to, and that's a big part of this. Who changed after this,
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, in a perfect world. Now, mind you, this isn't New York City. This isn't Los Angeles. This isn't Miami or Dallas. This is a little town.
Yeah, little college town, mouse. I mean, 23,000, 11,000 students.
And for something like this to happen, I'm sure even the police were in shock.
Oh, yeah.
First responders were in shock. So I don't blame them either. They'd be like, yeah, I'm a crime scene expert. Maybe I might not be in shock by that. But, okay, I'm an amateur baseball player. And now you get me an at-bat in the World Series, with 2 outs on the line for the Cleveland Guardians. I think I might choke. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a big moment. It's a big moment, right? This is a big moment, and it's not any fault of anybody. I don't want to blame anybody. God bless law enforcement for doing the best that they can. I'm certainly glad now. But here's my point. I'm softening up my point. In a perfect world. After that murder, I would have done a head count of everybody in every class in every fraternity, like the very next Monday, right? Have everybody show up at school. Who's not here? Who's acting funny? I'm sure everybody's freaking out.
Yeah. Who has then like let's all see your hands and let's see.
Yeah, everybody come in, show your hands. Let's see your face. And I think the key to this family, or the key to this, and hopefully it hasn't just gone cold, because I'm really fearful that whoever did this is long gone. Because if they're not long gone, that means they're being protected.
Bingo.
Because I don't know anybody who could. Not that I would know anybody, but I've met a lot of people. I've met people accused of murder. I've met people convicted of murder, right? Like, I know how people act after they've killed somebody. And unless you're a total sociopath with no regard for human feeling or your own soul, could just go about your everyday 9 to 5, student life, work life, whatever, after killing 4 people like that, I can't imagine anyone being able to do that. I can't even imagine it. So whoever did this is gone, or they're being protected by people who know how to protect people.
I mean, I agree completely.
I think it's probably gone. I think whoever did this is gone.
Well, if that's the case, what ties would they have ever had there that they can just be gone and stay gone?
Well, I mean, the 2 ways to do it. You can go on the, you can go get gone local, where you just go into the weeds somewhere, or you can get gone international. But I think it would be. I think the FBI. If this person left the country, I think the FBI is all over it.
Because if there's a possibility of that.
Oh yeah. I guarantee you right now, there's 5 FBI agents going through every international flight log of anybody from Idaho or Washington State. Anybody who has left the country from Idaho or Washington, they're going to get a knock on their door while they're on vacation or the minute they get back.
And then also, so you also have all the lists of all the students. I mean, do you think that this could be if you were to profile the age range, do you think that this could have been a student?
18 to 35.
18 to 35.
White male. 100%.
And, you know, for this to be, you have 4 people instead of 1. So for law enforcement, and you see, you know, the information, and then the families saying, well, you're clearing people way too soon. How are you clearing people? What are their alibis? Like, what's going on here? Is that, you know, normal to hear that? Should, you know, it's...
I think it's a little weird to publicly clear somebody without a suspect. You don't have to say that they're a suspect to clear them, but to specifically say they're cleared is a little bit weird.
Okay.
You know, the law enforcement shouldn't go out of their way to make people go, well, the heat's off, right? And that's
Yeah, or to have like the public think that, oh, it's okay to be around that person or something like that.
Well, I think that the thing that here's the tough part with law enforcement when you have such a case of national and international interest like we have here is you're going to have a lot of people maybe falsely putting pressure on people that are innocent.
Yeah.
Right. And that's wrong. And that should never be done. So it's a tough job for law enforcement right now. And thank God for the families, the FBI's there, because this is way too big of a job for any local police department to handle on their own. Any small state highway patrol department, it's too small. They just don't have the kind of history of dealing with mass murder like the FBI does. So the fact that the FBI is on this thing makes me feel a lot more comfortable. But the FBI should have been on this thing on day 2, day 1. But you know,
Okay.
who's to say? You know.
Yeah. When so for it to be like 30 days, would you, if you were a father, I mean, you are a father, but let's just say, you know, you're an average father, you don't do the line of work that you do.
Yeah.
Would you at this point hire a private investigator?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would have an army of people interviewing every single person that my kids knew and that any one of these 4 kids knew, families, friends, and trying to find somebody, try to find out some information. Who's missing? You know?
Who hasn't been around? Who's
hasn't
been acting different?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely who's been acting differently. But, you know, from a profiling standpoint, this is going to be an introverted person.
Okay.
Because stabbings, now listen, you could have just as easily grabbed a 22 and killed them with a 22.
I have a question for you for that. Campus policy, now I don't know if it stands for like off-campus housing, but on-campus housing, you're not allowed to have a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Would that weigh into the fact that, well, I couldn't have a gun, so this is what I had to use? Because
I mean, you can go into, like I said, you can go into any sporting goods store in Idaho and walk out of there inside of an hour with a gun.
okay, so they would just be like,
Yeah, you can just go buy a gun. Just because there's a policy that you're not allowed to own a gun doesn't mean people don't have guns. Well, there are more guns in America than there are people.
yeah,
And this is just the precise point that, you know, and I'm not going to make a political point, but people kill people.
guns.
Weapons don't kill people.
100%, I agree. I mean,
You know,
Yeah.
I could kill you with a bowling ball if I wanted to, right?
Yeah.
And
I could kill you with my car.
Yeah, it's about the cars kill more people than guns, right?
yeah, yeah. Me and my dad have this.
Medicine and drugs kill people. You can give somebody an overdose and kill them.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that this was a knife to me says it was an introverted person filled with rage and hostility. And this act of mutilating these people with a giant blade of some sort is a fulfillment of this rage. It's a satisfaction of this internal rage that this person has. I think this is a loner, an isolated, quiet person that probably does not make eye contact with many people. You know, a person who's
A single person?
Yes, definitely single. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. This isn't some father. This isn't an uncle. This is
A single person?
This is the same kind of kid that would shoot up Columbine or Sandy Hook or any of it. This is a white male introvert loner who is angry with the world, and he saw these four beautiful, attractive, outgoing, vibrant personalities and wanted to snuff it out because he didn't have that in his life. It was filled with gray, loneliness, and solitude, and he lashed out at somebody who had something that he had, which was love.
So I was going to say, so love was a big thing. Like they're missing like love from either their peers, their family. Because if you look at actually around all these, like the victims, there's just, you know, so much love from their parents. They're always going on family trips and doing things as a family together. And they're clearly the center of these families' lives. Like they're involved with their lives. They boast about them. They are on social media. Oh my God, I love my fam. We're here. We're doing this. We're taking all these pictures. We're living it up. You know. Yeah.
So had hope. These four people they had hope. Every picture I see of all four of these kids, every single one is smiling.
Yeah, every day's like their best day.
Every day's a great day for them. And that's great. That's how you want your children to be. So this person, you know, who did this does not have a good family structure. You know, this is a quiet, lonely individual. And so it does fit the definition of a stalker, but I don't think a stalker, maybe a stalker of opportunity.
A stalker of opportunity.
Right? But who knows if it could have been Kaylee, you know? I think that's where everybody's kind of focusing their attention.
Well, I was going to get into that. Because I think the hang up that I kind of have is, do you really think this person went in there with the intent to kill all these people? Because then why were there two survivors? Well, they could have been witnesses that you don't know if they would have saw you and looked out the window. I mean, or heard something. I'm just curious in the terms of like, was there a reason that those two weren't harmed? Was it a message to say, yeah, I just came for you? Like,
well, maybe they didn't even, if they came through that back sliding glass door onto the second floor, which would have been the main, I call that the first floor.
Yeah, that's what I
think the other one was more the garage level. You know,
yeah,
like
it's kind of, But for purposes of like just, you know, the bottom level.
Right. So the middle level is where they would go in. And if they went in on that middle level, they might not even have known that there was other people in the house. If that area of the house was closed, and by all accounts, it might have been because, you know, because if the dog was able to run throughout the whole house, I'm assuming that, I don't know who's.
Well, they said the dog was in an like basically the dog did not have any blood. You know, nothing was on the dog, so it was in a room. Yeah. And there's like people that are saying it could have been in a laundry room, in a pen, in Kaylee's bedroom, in one of the surviving. That has not been.
Whose dog was that?
Kaylee and her boyfriend's.
Okay.
But her dog was moving. In February, she had like an internship that was February to June. Yeah. She had posted in October 11th, that she was looking for a roommate in Texas for February to June. So people that think that she was going to start in January, is actually she was not planning on being there until February.
She was going to Texas?
Yeah, it was just, it was to do an intern, is what it's being said as, but it was only from February until June, so it was a very short period of time. Yeah. And she was she had posted on social media looking, and she had mentioned her dog, which was 25 pounds. But the facts is that she wasn't going to be starting in January, and that's being set out there. It starts in February, and she was going to Europe, I believe, before that started. So, you know, and everybody that was a victim here, they're very, you know, their social medias are very active, and a knife is really personal. Do you believe that it could be anything other than that weapon that you have there with you? Do you think that there's a chance that
Yeah, I mean,
You hear her dad talk. You hear Kaylee's
It could have
dad.
been a knife like this too. I mean, this isn't as big, but this is a fixed blade. It's also a pretty sturdy knife. You can do a lot of damage with that too. You know.
So I'm going to show you a picture. Well, here, kind of before I do that, what have you been told about being able to, you get to a crime scene, and what are the first things that they would be doing to determine that, in your experience?
On time of death?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to want to look at what kind of rigor mortis is going on.
Okay.
So rigor mortis typically from the time of death to full hour or two is going to be your face, your eyes are going to have rigor, which means stiffness, right?
Okay.
And then your trunk, then your limbs, and then after 12 hours, your whole body will be stiff, like cement almost. And then
How long do you think that takes, you said, to get completely like stiff like that?
12 hours.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
So if the
Then
murders were
hours.
between 3 and 4 a.m. and they were found at noon, that wouldn't have happened yet.
Yeah, they would not have been in full rigor at
Okay.
that point, but they would have been close because that would have been like 8 hours or so, right?
Okay.
And then after 12 hours of death, another 12 hours, they'll slowly come out of rigor. In that
Okay.
state. So after 24 to 30 hours, they'll be fully flexible again.
Okay. So then they would be okay.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, they believe like this 3 to 4 time frame. Do you think that they're getting that? But the coroner didn't say that. It's just weird. She didn't want to talk about that and didn't know that. But the cops were like, well, it's 3 to 4. And I'm just curious as to.
Well, it all depends on when the coroner would see it, right? So the first responders, whoever saw them first and touched the body, they would know what level of rigor they're in. But if the coroner doesn't get there until after rigor has already subsided, that's what's called kind of ephemeral evidence. It's only witnessable when you see it, and then after that, 12 to after the 24 hours, then you really don't know because you weren't there. And
Okay, so I guess
so it might not be first-hand knowledge by the coroner herself.
Wouldn't
the time she got there, but that doesn't necessarily mean the time the body was first looked at.
Okay. So is that because they called her at noon, she got that phone call at noon, like, kind of like they did.
Yeah.
And she said that she didn't go in the house until about 5:30 because they were doing everything they needed to do. And I kind of was like, well, don't you kind of need to get in there just to like, hey, what are we thinking about, for time of death or anything that you would want somebody like her to be in there just to, even if it's
Well, I think you have to make a decision there.
Okay.
About what's more important, the integrity of the crime scene, the time of death, or a unpolluted crime scene. I think you have to make that judgment call, and I think it's a tough call to make, but I think you want to have as least of a disturbed crime scene as possible to preserve footprints, to preserve forensic evidence on the body, blood patterns, blood pooling, blood droplets. Now, this is a Herculean blood evidence complex scene.
they took 4,000 pictures, Scott. 4,000.
They're going to need to take about 4,000 samples
Yeah.
of blood. Every single item in that house, every fiber of carpet, every bed sheet, mattress, all of that could have the killer's blood commingled with the victim's blood. So to say that this case is going to be solved by the forensics is very optimistic,
Okay.
because when you have a complex blood scene, it's easy when you have one victim and a gunshot wound and back spatter and blood spatter, and you've got blood pooling and dropping, even if it's 2 victims or 3 victims in an open space. But when you have cast off blood, blood pooling, blood from victims mixing with each other, and then on the floor, all over, even if the killer got cut and bled into that blood pool,
Okay.
you have to get the very spot where the blood mixed, or else you're not going to be able to tell. You know, imagine you take a bucket of paint and throw it on your room, and then you take an eyedropper with a slightly different color red paint, and you drop it in the middle. Good luck trying to find that needle in a haystack.
Okay.
So they say DNA could solve the case, but yeah, maybe a couple of years from now, once it's going to take them hundreds, if not thousands of hours to process all of those blood samples. I think oh yeah, go ahead.
When I just, as you were saying, I was just thinking about something here with, take all these samples. Do you see how those stools are right there?
Yeah.
And like they're blocking. This was captured from the drone footage, like just like a still that I took.
Yeah.
Would the police have put those in there, or would the girls have put that in there?
No, I think the girls probably put that in there, because to me that looks like an improvised doorstop from somebody who doesn't know how to make a doorstop. Because they've already.
So you don't think the police did that?
No, I don't think so. I think that looks like an improvised security device by one of the kids of the place.
So, but they're saying that law enforcement placed that there.
Who's saying that?
That's what it's kind of been out there, saying that law enforcement did that
I wouldn't do that. Matter of fact, I mean, if I'm law enforcement, I have all kinds of tools. I could put, most law enforcement carry some kind of a club stick in the car, and depending on the size of the window, you could break off individual segments and put this in the door if you wanted to stop it. But I don't see why law enforcement would put over a couple of bar stools like that. To me, that looks like something a kid would do. To like, hey, the door, we're gonna lock. We don't have a lock on the door. I mean, because what's the point of doing that? They already taped up the door. I don't understand why they. I mean, they could. I can't. I'm not saying that they didn't. I don't have any personal knowledge. I just know I wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
I have more sophisticated tools just in my bag here.
Like why would you take those 2 stools? Like, you don't even know what could be possibly on those stools.
Yeah, I mean,
those where people sit. I mean, I'm just saying. No.
So this is interesting here, though, because that is in fact there. Now, who put that there? I don't know. It could be law enforcement. I would think not. If they, maybe that is. I don't know. But the door's already taped, so you're not opening up that door without the seal being broken and somebody being alerted. I'm assuming after the killings happened, this house is under 24/7 surveillance. There is a report, though, however, that front door on the first floor on the garage side by the parking area was open, according to other witnesses. But the police department, particularly the police chief, didn't even know that.
He said, he's like, I didn't even know about that.
But that's not uncommon, So
and I think that's where we're wondering if, was it open because the girl ran out of the apartment, the house, when she saw the bodies? Like, is that from,
No, I would think that
like that person's statement is like she got that information. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, if I arrived there and I was the police and this door was open, well, that's because the girl came out and she passed out. Or is it, or are you referring to like one of like the neighbors that said when they had went to work or in the morning they had saw that it was open at like 8 or 9? Because that's that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is, to me, it just doesn't look like something law enforcement would do. Take a couple of stools and wedge them up against the screen door. I mean, that to me is what a scared kid does when they go to bed so that the boogeyman doesn't get in.
It's funny that you use those words. Yeah, that's exactly what her mom was saying, that it's like this is the work of like the boogeyman, because that's who comes for people when they sleep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, and when kids are scared and they go to bed and it's dark and and you got a screen door, it appears to be something that somebody could get through, yeah. I mean, most people would wedge the door with a baseball bat, or chop down a piece of wood
Yeah.
so you can't slide it open. Like I said, that looks like a kid did that. And then with the report of the other door being open, I think it's more likely that what's possible that the point of entrance and exit could be from that first floor. But that calls into question, well, what's going on the first floor with the two people that were sleeping there? And that was it was a boy and a girl, right? They were on the first floor with the dog?
Oh, no, just the two girls.
There was two other girls in that first floor.
Yeah. Yep. In separate rooms. And
the dog was on that level too.
well, they haven't, I'm going based off of law enforcement. There has been all it said that the dog was unharmed. The dog did not have any, blood or, fire, just, and then they released the dog to a responsible party, to somebody that they felt was,
but there's a big point of caution here, right? For all the young kids out there living alone in off housing. Don't go to bed drunk, right? Yeah.
Right.
Be on your toes. I think the partying and drinking and going to bed until you're blackout drunk puts you very vulnerable, doesn't it? But if you go to bed 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and you're not drinking or doing drugs, and you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, which I know that's not everybody's lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
But somebody comes into my bed at midnight after I go to bed early and with no alcohol or drugs in my system. Oh yeah, good luck getting 1 inch in my house without 5 guns from every entrance and 2 wild animals attacking you. Don't put yourself in a position where you're vulnerable, right? And I'm not saying it's their fault, but I think to the people that are survivors, all the kids out there in Idaho and Washington that are going to bed on a Saturday night, hey, maybe you should change your lifestyle right now. No more drinking, no more drugs, no more sleeping pills. Everybody should be on their toes, their head on a swivel, looking for this freaking maniac. I think the regular lifestyle of college party life in all areas should stop right now, and everybody should just start head on a swivel, because you live in an evil world filled with evil people, and you better see what's coming, because there's something coming for everyone. It's just, are you looking for it or not? I don't mean to be a dad, but as a dad, that's what I'm saying to my daughter right now. You lock your doors at night and you don't go to bed drunk.
Just be.
That's what I'm saying.
So a couple last questions, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn it over so that we can have some, the 20 minutes. With,
I didn't mean to get my horse there.
No, you did. No, I agree. I mean, you're parents. You're just like, hey, guys, come on. I don't care what anyone's saying right now. We really should got to think about this.
Yeah.
There's somebody that went and had no problem going in someone's home and murdering 4 people with a knife.
Be ready to defend yourself. Everybody, be ready to defend yourself. Because as we all know, law enforcement is simply there to respond. They're not there to prevent. They can't prevent it. You can only prevent it from happening. Police can only respond to it. You are your only defense in this world. Everybody should know how to defend themselves. Everybody should live their life not worried, not scared, but be ready to defend yourself. Because something's coming for everyone.
Yeah, paying attention. I'm guilty of it. We're all probably guilty of it with our phones and stuff like that. You're not as I would have seen that, something. But
I'm not trying to, like I said, it's just a dad instinct.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's all it is. I mean, I'm just imagining what I'm saying to my daughter right now.
Yeah.
Who's just slightly older than these girls. And,
Yep. So, when they want to talk about, have you ever heard of the term that a residence would be targeted? Versus we're still trying to determine if the residence was targeted or a person or persons in the house was targeted. I've never heard of someone saying that a residence was targeted. Have you ever heard that?
Well, I think I have heard that, but in
Okay.
the standpoint of, like, for example, on social media, right? Kids out there, whether you're doing TikTok, you know, or you're doing other things, whatever that might be, don't reveal where you live to people you don't know. Don't give out your address, because there's crazy people out there. So if law enforcement says they targeted a residence, maybe they have information that somebody saw something, that this house was vulnerable, that the house was put on display for the public to see, that the house was targeted because it was considered a soft target.
So,
Maybe
okay.
that, but again, that's not the raving of a madman. This is a calculated, cool, chill, under control, brave individual to go and plan this and get away with it and continue to get away with it. Total 100% sociopath, which I think that takes it out of a past relationship, out of a slighted lover, and into the ground of kind of a terrorist kind of thing. How back in the days of terror, like, this is a terrorist who is terrorizing people who have love, friendship, and companion. This is a loner. This is a killer. And if I had to put my money on it, if this person's cornered, they will kill again. This is a dangerous person.
We were talking about that. And I kind of liked how when you said that, they're going to kill again, whether it's themselves or somebody else.
Yeah.
They have it in them clearly.
Yeah. This person will not be taken alive unless a family member, a mother or a father or a friend knows this person and sets them up for arrest. As soon as this person knows that they're onto them, they're going to kill themselves, or they're going to kill somebody and then kill themselves. But I don't think there's any chance of catching this person alive without cooperation from somebody close to the person. And you're frozen on me right now. I don't know what's going on. I know I can't hear or see you. You're frozen. I don't know what I should do here. Oh, am I the only one in it now? Okay. All right. I guess it's my show, guys. Welcome to the Evidence Room show. I apologize for getting on my horse there, but I think that's something that people should talk about. We live in a dangerous world, and all you kids out there living on your own, be prepared. Self-defense classes. Be on your toes. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. Be ready for what's coming. That's the cold, hard truth of it. There's not a whole lot of time to dance and play when you realize the evil that is out there in the world, and it's there. And I think say a prayer for this family. Whoever you pray to, whether you believe in God or not.
Sorry about that.
I was just doing a solo.
You're good. I was like, what the heck just happened here?
So I was about ready to lead everybody in prayer.
I was like, oh God, here we go. Just a little crash session. It's all we need. Sorry about that, Scott. Hold on. I was just I didn't even do anything. I was like, what is going on here?
No, you were frozen. You were only gone for like 30 seconds. So good hands. You got it quick. So.
Okay, good.
All right, we're getting on 2:17 my time here.
Yeah, so I was just gonna.
So.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch this over to highlight some of these questions. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, sure. I can do like 15 minutes of Q&A, but I got to go after that.
Okay, sounds perfect. Let me just fire this up. So here we go, guys. Again, first of all, Scott, thank you so much. I think that it's just, for me, it's a breath of fresh air to talk to somebody that, obviously the experience you have, but the logic, the common sense, and that you put it in perspective of we are parents.
Yeah.
And So I just want to say thank you.
Sure. And I want to thank you for what you're doing. I think,
Thank
you.
you.
The effort of alternative news reporting is an important thing because we should always have multiple perspectives on these events that shape our lives. But I urge everyone to think for yourself, do your own multiple resources to find your news so that you can find the truth out there. Because the truth is out there. You have to work to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it is. And especially like I believe that mainstream media doesn't have all the answers. And ultimately, when you're getting paid and it's a certain agenda, it could sometimes, like you said in the beginning,
Yeah.
you know, you follow the evidence, you know, you have testified on both sides, and that's not who you are. So a lot of people have written in chat, you know, thank you so much. I just went ahead and said, put your questions in chat. So if you guys have those questions, now is the time. I will highlight them, and then Scott can, question here from Lisa. Lisa says, do you think this case will be solved? Is this a solvable case?
If I put my money on it, no.
No?
I don't think it will be solved. I think that this case goes cold. And unless somebody close to the killer gives the killer up, I'm not sure. I doubt it. I doubt it. And I'm so sorry to say that, but I'm just talking about my gut. I think it's very tough. Very tough.
So that, I mean, that's also why you believe that if, you know, you were in the same position as these parents, you would be getting a private investigator. And
Yeah, sure. I would be, there would be no, do I think it was personal? Yeah, I think it's personal to the person who killed them. Because whether Ethan, Zana, Kaylee, Maddie individually did something to this person or not, whether they knew it or not, it was personal to the person who did it. Now, if one of these 4 kids knew about it, I'm not sure if they even knew about it. But yeah, a knife killing is always personal.
in some type of way, yeah, absolutely.
It's very intimate. It's more than personal. It's intimate.
It's intimate,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's a good question for you. This is from Bad Girl, do you think the killer was in the house before they got home?
Possibly, yeah. I think it's a very good possibility that somebody was lying, and that's a terrific question, by the way. I think that it's very possible that somebody could have been lying in wait, and that's why nobody saw them, because they were there while everybody was gone, lying in wait. That's a very good question. I think it's very possible.
Okay. And then what would you do differently or the same if you were working as law enforcement on this case for what you know right now?
Well, what I would have done differently is
You kind of mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, what I would have done differently, but hey, armchair quarterbacking is easy, right? But what I would have done differently is I would have done an immediate head count of every student on that following Monday morning and had a mandatory attendance for every fraternity, every sorority, every janitor, every student on that campus, and I would have done a head count. Now, is that practical? I don't know. But this is a extreme situation where extreme tactics need to be done to do a head count, because I would have put up roadblocks within hours. I would have shut down all
Like
highways.
Nobody's getting out of no one's getting out of this
Lock
town.
everything down right away. Lock everything down in your spot. Shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's not sheltered, you need to look at them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's I don't know if you know.
But here's the follow-up with that is, I don't know if that's constitutional. I don't know if you can lock down an entire community. I know that's what I would want to do, like shelter in place, not go home, not go on, but stay right where you are.
Well, at the very minimum, I think that the university could definitely do a mandatory roll call and probably get away with that.
Yeah.
And that would be because they can do things based. what I started realizing.
Cool, yeah, it's different than.
Yeah, exactly. You're signing stuff that you're giving away certain, actually, like your rights. You don't even realize it. Do you think that law enforcement should, share more details in terms of I think that if you believe it's going to go cold, should they be really utilizing the public?
Yeah, absolutely. They should be giving more details to the public. I think pride hurts law enforcement. I'm working on a case right now in Rocky River, Ohio, right? My hometown, where two people were killed sitting on a park bench in 2019, and it has not been solved. I think, a lot of times law enforcement, they're worried about getting a prosecution. Some are worried about getting an arrest, but closing the case, And, if you can squeeze these people tight enough, you might not be able to arrest and prosecute them, but they might get squeezed enough to expose themselves, even for self, termination. And the goal is to get them out of the threat mode.
Yeah, I agree. What about this? What type of occupation do you feel, if maybe you don't know?
Well, I don't know about occupation, but I definitely think that this person was strong, athletic to some degree, maybe not sports athletic, but strong, maybe nimble, possibly a hunter, somebody who is not unfamiliar with death, but an occupation, I don't know, logger, some kind of blue collar job, possibly no job at all.
I was just gonna say, do you think that this person could be, a trust fund baby?
I don't know. It could. I wouldn't rule it out. Just like I can't rule it in, I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule out anything at this point, other than the profile that I'm putting out there, which is white male, 18 to 35, and I think 35 is on the high end. I think it's probably going to be younger than that. Loner, possibly an involuntary celibate person.
Okay.
Somebody ingrained in some kind of video game culture, online culture, where they have no friends and they hate everything beautiful and nice. I think this is a depraved, lonely soul, and I pray for that person for forgiveness. I can't help but make me want to pray when I think about this case, because it just hurts my every fiber of a.
Yeah, it's like we've been saying. It's like it's nothing you've ever seen, but like senseless. And do you think what do you think about that? Do you think that that law enforcement? Scott, this comes from Lou Rose. Scott, do you think it's possible the police could be throwing the investigation to cover for somebody who is well connected? Could this be a law enforcement person that did this?
Well, I'm going to borrow a line from one of my experts that taught me how to testify in court. Right? His name is Mel Tucker, former chief of police, city of Tallahassee, former FBI. And he said, you asked this, and I don't even do it in his voice. He said this. Well, Scott, you asked this expert anything. Anything's possible. It's possible that you're a hologram. You're not even here right now. But is it probable? And Lou, I would say it's not probable. Anything's possible, but it's not probable. Especially with the FBI breathing down your neck. I think that's in very slim to none. But yeah, anything's possible. But I'd say.
Not sure if you've been paying attention to the white car that everybody's talking about as of recent. What do you think that that's just,
Well, it's a car that was out of place or was identified as out of place. But I've also heard that there was a black SUV that was there that was out of place too. So, I think all points Burlington on a white Hyundai, unfortunately, one of the most popular cars in America.
Do you think it's at all surprising that this house and these, 4 people, they're obviously the other 2, so there were 6, but that they didn't have some type of security, like that, they like designer stuff, they have money, they have things, that they didn't have like a Ring camera. Is this a case that you look back or you take from it and you're like, okay, we need to, college kids out there, it'll cost you only pennies to divide this up and pay for that a month to have.
Yeah, but here's the unfortunate truth about that is, that's not on the mind of a 2021-year-old,
Yeah.
A 2021-year-old, and listen, I don't mean to sound like old man time over here.
Getting old.
But I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But after being on this earth for 5 decades now, should you have a ring camera? Absolutely, you should.
I think of that because of the day and age that we live in right now. It's all technology. I mean,
yeah, you should. Every kid out there, if
you got smartphones. You got this. I mean, why not have a smart house? I mean,
now would the smart house prevent the killing? No, but would it help catch a killer? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Especially, could it have prevented it? It's like if this house was targeted because it was an easy there's a bunch of maybe people out there that fit this profile to kill because they have things that you don't have and you wish you had. But we went with this residence because it was going to be easy because we know their pattern or something like that.
And a bunch of girls lived there. A bunch of girls lived there.
Yeah.
Did Ethan even live there, or was he just visiting?
So no, he was he went to school there and everything like that. But technically it wasn't his house. He was on the lease. That was his girlfriend. So he would stay there a decent amount.
Okay, but if you're an outsider looking for a soft target, you think 6 women live there.
6 girls, yeah. 5 technically, but yeah. There's 6 bedrooms, 5 girls. Do you think that it would be at all, relevant to be looking back at the past couple months to see could this be like a neighbor that would be upset with them and trying to get them in trouble in some type of way, and then when that didn't work, anything like that?
No, that sounds. It's just too big.
It's just like why would you do go slash somebody's tires or something if you're mad,
I like this question from Nancy S here. Have they killed before? Yes, I think they have. Whether it's a human, I don't know, but this person has definitely killed before.
So meaning it could be an animal?
Yeah, this person has killed before. Absolutely, this person has killed before. Whether they've killed a person, I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah. But they've killed something, because death is not a stranger to this killer.
Yeah, like you said, how do you just go back in society and you're going to be cool, calm, and collected? I don't
know. That's a great question.
Couple last ones here. I want to make sure that they're okay. Scott, do you think that there was blood on the outside of the house? I don't know if you saw that picture where I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but I would just think that there would be some type, unless the killer tried to do some type of cleanup job. Did they use gloves?
Yeah, I mean, there could be blood on the outside of the house. I would definitely, there's a way to find out if there's blood on the outside of the house that was cleaned up, and that's with luminol. And you can spray luminol, and then under the cover of night, that blood will illuminate under a blue light. So yeah, I think there probably is blood in some of the open areas, whether it's the ground or the pathway that they got in and out, whether they came in and out on foot, whether they came in and out in a car, whether it was dropped off there and then the car left and then they left on foot. Rocard's principle, Jacques Rocard was a famous scientist back in the 1700s, and he came up with this theory called Rocard's principle. And that principle says, anytime you enter a room, you bring something with you and you take something away. You leave something behind and you take something with you. So I guarantee you, if they do a careful forensic analysis of the exterior of that home or that pathway leading in and out, they're going to find evidence, footprints, impressions, blood, DNA, hair, fiber. There's going to be something there, but do you have anything to compare it to is the question. Because if you have hair, DNA, a freaking fingernail, and you run it through the system, if that person has never been fingerprinted before, good luck. You know, it doesn't do anything unless you have something to compare it to. You can rule people out, but you can't rule people in unless you have that person to compare it to.
Yeah. So where do you think the murder weapon is right now?
Either still with the person or at the bottom of a lake.
They would have gotten rid of it.
Yeah, I don't think they put it in the garbage. I think this is the kind of weapon that you throw into the body. You throw in a body of water. You throw into a deep lake or something. You don't throw this in the garbage can. Either he still has it with him, or he threw it into nature in some isolated area. I would be on the lookout for, Idaho. I'd be on the lookout for any outback trail, any camper, anybody camping, anybody living in their car, by a campsite, by a fishing ground, by a hunting ground, anybody living out in the middle of nowhere. I'd be looking at there. See who's out there local hiding.
Do you think that this killer has been in the home before?
Absolutely. If not, they've cased it from social media, because just from a cursory check on TikTok on it, and I saw 5 videos all from the house showing points of entrance, exit, showing all of the participants. I think the person has either been in the house before in person, or at least stalked it online. So that's the other thing. I would go to every one of the users on TikTok that before the killing, that interacted with them, that followed them, that might have done any kind of DM with them, any other kind of mechanical or computer type interaction with the general public, where they could get a casing of the inside of the home and have direct communication with any of the participants there. I would definitely be looking into those people online as well. I think that's what the FBI is doing right now. So the killer out there, if you were talking to any of these kids on TikTok or any kind of other platform under any other kind of a situation, they know who you are and they will find you. But who knows? We'll see.
Can you use the luminol after the snowfall?
Yes, you can.
Okay. And you have a lot of support here, Scott, and they're like agreeing like everything that you're saying, and you're being loved by so many.
Well, thank you.
You're being love bombed.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I love you all back in a bomb.
They're love bombing you over here. And let's see. I'm just trying to something that we haven't maybe mentioned. As far as if you were to give any advice to like the parents, is there anything that you think you could, if you were in their shoes, like tell your PI to do this, or you know what I mean, like, as far as like OnlyFans, I mean, do you think that that's not personal enough that these people wouldn't have done?
That's so personal. I think that, and I don't want to bring that up myself because, I don't want to disparage anybody's name, right?
Yeah, well,
because we're all God's children, and nobody deserves this.
God, no, yeah.
Happen to them. But if there was some kind of an interaction through, let's say one of these kids had a OnlyFans account, you personally, my understanding, you interact with people, right? And people could have some kind of take it too personally. Oh, I think I love them, or I think I hate them, or some kind of a slight,
like a skewed reality of perception of reality.
Yeah, skewed reality, right? But I think that should be open to the family. Like that family, if I had the PI on that, the family should be going through every single person that ever paid her a penny, subscribed to anything, bought anything. If there was, and I don't even know if there was an OnlyFans account. I'm not sure. I never heard a rumor about it. But if there is any truth to that, I would have that PI going through every single person that ever interacted on that, because I think there's motivation there. And
do you think
it fits to me, it fits the incel.
Do you think that this is unfortunate that now it's going to be winter break and the kids don't go back to school till January, is that going to be?
Yeah, it's tough because, what happens to kids in, holiday time, they go back home to their families. Their schedules are different. Everything's break. And now you have a great opportunity. Oh, now where's your boots at? I got new boots for Christmas. It's the perfect excuse to get rid of all evidence that you had in the past, because now the big excuse is, I threw it away and I got a new pair of boots for Christmas. I got a new pair of pants for Christmas. So I think that's tough. It's a tough.
I got a new haircut.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, or like even like, do you think that this would cause like someone to like change their appearance in terms of like would it bother them that they wouldn't be eating, that they'd be like, oh my God, a severe weight loss or anything like that? That I'm just trying to throw things out there to help with, hey, by chance that the family gets to, one of the families gets to see this and they get to hear from you, and it's just like, oh my God, remember what's his name? He used to be like, a pretty bigger dude, and now all of a sudden he's.
See that you're giving them. I appreciate what you're saying, but you're giving them the credit that they're not a sociopath.
Okay.
A sociopath, an experienced killer, will kill them, go home, and eat a bowl of cereal.
Like nothing happened.
Like nothing, because they don't care, because they're not humans to them. It could be, and that's the thing, and I don't want to hold hard about certain things, but there's a reality. People don't live in the same reality anymore.
Yep.
And if you have an altered reality, whether it's chemically in your brain or chemically in a drug or whatever, you have an altered reality. You could think you've done that, and it's just, it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
But obviously we're speculating on a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
like I said, Scott, you're awesome. I would love always talking to you, and I told everybody that they were in for a really big treat when they got to hear from you, and just.
Do people feel treated?
They do. They said this is the best dynamic duo right now on the tubes.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you do a great job, Lana. I really
thank you.
appreciate that. I love your level of detail. I saw the stuff that you've been doing on this case before, and you have a keen mind for detail, and I urge you to keep it up, because I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you so much, Scott. That means a lot to me. And then last question here. Do you think that this person has a fascination with knives? Is there a connection to why they picked knives?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a knife, like, I mean, I guess, so it's.
Yeah. This person probably owns many knives. I think so. A knife is, I don't want to get too deep into it, but, a knife is almost a sexual device for a killer, because it is very intimate and it penetrates. And when you're thinking about this dangerous, macabre, godless person. This is a godless person, by the way. This is not a person of faith. This is not a person. This is not a person who believes in heaven or hell.
So when her dad does say that this is a sadistic male.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Sadistic male. I would even say a godless person, a person without a soul. This is an evil, sadistic loner that is dangerous. And if he's cornered, he will try to kill you. And if he can't, he will kill himself. And I hope this person kills himself right now. I hope you're watching, because you don't deserve any justice from the courts. And you'd be lucky for the fathers not to catch you, and you'll get what you really deserve. I hope for your sake the police catch you, because it's the only way you're going to live through this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, Scott, thank you so much. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
A little day date.
So much. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much. Scott RODER here, fabulous human. Go check him out. Check out his work. If you're ever in need of some help, I mean, he's the best. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, there, Scott. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for being awesome with Scott. Thank you guys so much. I think it's best to go back, listen to it, digest what he has said, and after some people get to. So, what do you, before I close this out, what do you guys think? What's your initial, I've had some time to digest it. So, what do you guys think? I'll tell you something that I think. The whole being there before they got a home, laying in wait, whatever. That's interesting in terms of if people are staggering when they're coming home, then it's an easier job if people were being, killed as they were getting home. So, but, oh yeah, Scott's one of the most chill humans. Very, very smart. Common sense, but obviously, science. I'll tell you something that I've been leaning towards more and more is, Kaylee had her bed still there. They were using that house to pregame for that football game earlier that day. And if people are used to being there and having people there, her dad said, hey, go through your photos, look at your selfies. We want to see, maybe we can catch, somebody that would have been in that picture. And everybody thinks that, oh, that person came with so-and-so, or that person knows this person. But then you come and you realize that, oh, wait, who is this person? Because nobody's claiming this person. But the door that you really kind of can't see to go in and out is the top slider of Kaylee's room. And could that have been, unlocked earlier in the day so that would have been an entry point later on, if you want to talk about this being a planned attack to that type of degree. Also, since she did have the bed there, based on her dad saying there was just no blood on Kaylee's bed, and he just put two and two together, was able to use, that Kaylee and then Maddie died in the same bed. Well, is it possible that Kaylee was actually in her room, Maddie's in her room, and Kaylee hears something, leaves her room, the dog's there, and she goes into Maddie's room, flicks the light on, or even if she didn't flick the light on, but you hear something, then you go, and her wounds being different because she was, standing up first, but I think the clothing that everybody would have been wearing is going to be very important. I don't know if people have been talking about that, but what clothing did they have on? Scott believes that, because we talked, obviously before and after we were on this live interview, could this have been two people were the target, or one person was a target, and the other people, it was that they woke up, and he doesn't believe that. And that's where I question then, well, what about the other two surviving roommates? And there's talk about that did this person even know that those were bedrooms down there? How well did they, know the house? And then I still throw up that question of, I still question if they were there, if the roommates were there. So I know that people think that Kaylee and Ethan were just visiting, but they weren't. Ethan was there all the time, so it was like he was like a roommate, and Kaylee, I don't know why people think that, she was just visiting. I mean, she came there on that, that day before, that Friday, so she was there Friday, Saturday. But more importantly, that's been her home for not just a couple months, but the previous year. And I would never say that, like, Kaylee would never look at it that she was visiting that house. Like, that's her home still. In my opinion. How long was she away before coming back, though? I don't have that answer. I think that that's a good question. I think I told you guys how we put in for the, what is it? The public requests. Because I'm trying to get my hands on the body cam footage there was a neighbor that called on them. They got called on 3 different times, 2 times in September, 1 time in August, okay, for like loud noise complaint. Well, somebody called on them at 8:30 at night. Who does that? Okay, you want to call on somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning? 8:30 at night? Who calls on that? Who calls on somebody at 8:30 at night in a college town for a noise complaint? Unless you're calling because it was something like, a fight. But 8:30 for a noise violation or for a noise complaint, it doesn't make any sense. I get it that it's a Thursday. But to me, I would be like, what neighbor? Okay, you know your neighbors too. So it's like, oh, that so-and-so called on this because, But then guess what, guys? After the 8:30, the call, then after it became midnight, there was another call and complaint for noise. So they essentially got called twice on the same night. But it reads as like September 1st and September 2nd due to the fact of it being after midnight. Someone studying maybe? Sure, absolutely. But is it like, I'm going to tell you what one of my thoughts are. You guys, what's the number one thing people always, like, if you're a pissed off neighbor, what do you try to get people, like, they're dicks. Like, if you're calling the police, you're trying to get them in trouble, why not just take your happy ass over there and say, I don't think that it was because of noise, guys. I don't think it was because of a noise complaint. I want to hear the call. I want to hear what the person said when they called. And then I want to hear what they said, after it was 12 midnight. Because I'm not sold on the fact that whatever was going on in these people's lives, I feel like stuff was brewing. Everything was changing for everybody. 2 new people living. The 6th person doesn't end up living there. Then people that are supposed to be living there, I've never heard of somebody signing a lease only to be there for a couple months and then they're moving out. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then who was going to move in when, Kaylee leaves? You have 2 open bedrooms then. What did that fall on the girls? Does that fall on, did they rent out the place individually? I mean, it's actually very, very weird. But your neighbors, I could tell you so much about my neighbors just because I'm here or they're there, so they could tell you my patterns and vice versa. That's why they try to tell you to like mix stuff up. But your neighbors know a shit ton about you. So what was going on over there? Because I'm not sold on the whole noise thing at 8:30. Sorry, I'm not buying it right now. Lana, you're in Ohio, so your neighbors are probably weird. How are you, Florida bass fishing? Just come on over to my channel, where we bring in the CNN big hitters over here. Scott Roder, he's used to doing like 48 hours unsolved mysteries. He's doing a big thing with, he's got a Netflix episodes coming out. Yeah, he's done work with, you name it, ABC, NBC, CBS. You know I love you too. The other thing is hearing his profile with the 18 to 35, totally agree with. I'm sorry, but you guys, you have to think about this. If it's a calculated killer, you really, truly got to think about this. And they case that place, and they know, obviously, like the social medias and who's living there and everything like that, then I believe that that those other two girls are living there. And that's my huge hang up right now with, why would you possibly leave two witnesses? How could you possibly know that they wouldn't wake up? I mean, were the roommates drugged? Were the two surviving roommates drugged? If this person planned everything went pretty right for this person. It's been 30 days. This isn't some lunatic that, I don't believe that they're compared to like a disorganized killer and organized killer, but how did the killer know there wouldn't be any noise, that people wouldn't wake up, like the bottom roommates? I got a couple new things I'm putting together, but I agree with so much that Scott said, especially the part where guns don't kill people, people kill people. Social media, you guys, people can just, you don't even need to do anything to track somebody as long as you can see their social media. So if it's an active person on social media. So, and I also think that if someone's in your home, and if you have your door locked or not, if somebody wants to get in that bedroom, they're going to get in that bedroom. I think it's interesting to think about the fact that it's one of two things. It's either somebody being protected, or it's somebody, you're fled, you're gone, never looking back. That's interesting to me, because what did you have your original ties to be there in the first place for? Like, how can you just up and leave something and nobody noticed that? Oh, this person, ever since the murders, I've never seen them again. Well, that's a red flag. I think that all these teachers anybody that Zoomed and didn't go to the class, but they started Zooming, I think that list should be turned over to the university, to then the police, department. And I think that the people that went to class, that Zoomed, did they attend the Zooms? Did they finish out that semester? Are there people that just dropped off the face of the earth with even like their schooling, even if they were saying, oh, I'm going to Zoom, but they never showed up for the Zoom classes? And then he's like, well, somebody like this has no problem, being cool, calm, and collective back in society. There's not too many people that can do that. So, go back and watch that body cam footage. Everybody wants to talk about that light that's on. And then it kind of just like comes on. And then it, gets shut off. Pin down the time frames. I'm curious because I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to look at the timestamps on that alleged light. If that was actually a bedroom light. I just want to look at the timestamps of something. But yeah, I think it'd be very interesting to see what they were wearing. If they had the same clothes on that they went out in, very, very interesting. Because if they're supposed to be in bed sleeping, they would have had, different clothes on, right? Pajamas. So were they in pajamas? And I don't think anyone's talking about that. And I think that needs to be talked about because that would tell you a lot. We see what Kaylee and Maddie were wearing because we have that footage that night. So what were they wearing when they were found? Florida Bass, are you gonna go be a little baby girl and go to bed? I'm just kidding. I'm glad you stopped by. I miss seeing you. I'm going to shoot you a text. Hopefully you guys are doing well, you and your family. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Florida Bass. I'm with Scott on, I don't think that this was a group. You can't kind of keep secrets that way. That's how stuff gets out. Even though, would a fraternity cover for you? I think that, but I think that how can you find like-minded people, like he was saying? Could it be a situation that somebody went with them but didn't realize what was going down? Yeah, like he says, are things possible? Sure, but are they probable? I think that if people were found in the bed, it doesn't necessarily mean that it started in the bed. Hence why I think that Kaylee's wounds could be completely different. As her dad is saying, it's because if she was to walk in on Maddie, and she was standing up, so that's a possibility. What other things? I think that seeing that knife today was like really eye-opening that that's 13 inches. And I think it wasn't even just the fact that it was 13 inches long versus how wide it was for me to see how wide that was. And we're talking about relatively small people. I think Scott's point with the whole drinking thing was, yeah, when something like that happens, you want to, hold up, change. You might want to hold up here for a minute and see like what's going on, because if you were those surviving roommates, why wouldn't you think that wouldn't you be worried that this person could come for you guys? What if they think that you heard something, if you heard voices, if you saw something, and just law enforcement's acting like that they didn't see anything because they're protecting witnesses. So don't you think those two girls would be pretty scared? Not to mention that, like, to wake up, it just, Scott believes that the cops did not put those stools there, because I agree with him. Why would the cops do that? Like, what are you doing? If you did do that, like, just wow. I think that just screams like, okay, I can only imagine what inside that home's gonna look like. No, they're not scared. You don't think they're scared? I mean, I think they'd be kind of scared. I don't know. Lana's live? Well, then good thing I woke up. Well, I'm ending it, baby doll. I'm ending it. I did a live replay for anybody that wanted to see Scott Roeder, so I sat here live. Yeah, Steph says I'd be scared, right? I've seen people write, obviously, that they want to still talk about this 4chan with, like, the frat and all this stuff. I have not ruled out drugs. I'm very curious to know who is dealing all the drugs on that campus. Who's in charge of the drugs on that campus? I think that the killer did not I feel like they weren't pressed for time, and that's also a hang up for me. I don't feel like they were rushed, because when you're rushed, that's when, like, mistakes are made. Also, when you're rushed, that's when victims could survive stabbings. But then, isn't that such a clash with, but there's still two people in there, allegedly. So how could you not be pressed for time? And then I go to the drawing board. Well, if these two roommates were there, just like anything else, I'm going to need data that puts them there, because I don't see any cars parked in a parking lot. I don't even know if they have cars, but that's where you would park. And, it's like anything. You got to do it the right way. I think to hear Scott say that 99% of the victims that he's ever dealt with, it's males. So in this type of situation, to have 3 female victims, and in cases that your victim is 99%, like, male, it was interesting to hear that. I know we really didn't talk about the food truck. He's seen it, and he thinks without a doubt that's abnormal behavior, and publicly clearing anybody and possible ties to being able to flee, and if they been around and things like that. That's, you know what, I feel like that was just, hit on enough so far. But yeah, he does not think that that's normal behavior. And the number one reason he said is, did the kid order food? If you're really not there and you don't know them and it's a food truck, why aren't you ordering food? And it's like, ding, 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 exactly. Oh, thank you. I guess, is it Scott's opinion? It's an expert opinion. That's the difference. So, he's the one that takes the stand at trial, and he'd be the one actually in this situation that if they brought in a, forensic specialist like him to say, hey, look at this crime scene. Don't you think it was multiple knives? Look at these wounds. Like, could this be multiple knives? And this is somebody that would be testifying to stuff like that when a perpetrator would be arrested and tried. And he could be testifying for the prosecution, or he could be testifying for the defense. But he thinks that if the right persons were there to conduct the scene, that would have been, obviously really, really important. And it's vital when you're going through the process. But if you're not doing the right things up front, then it's going to cost you in the long run. He just doesn't think that there's going to be, he questions the forensics that are going to be available because of the 4 victims. It's a party house. There's going to be stuff in there from other people. He thinks it's going to be tons of hours to go through stuff, and we don't believe, him nor I believe, that the DNA is going to be in the system. No fingerprints, no DNAs in that system. And you get to the 30-day mark, and it's a madman or a lunatic or somebody that was sloppy and not planned and sophisticated would have been caught by now. So yeah. Now you look at Delphi, and I think Delphi's still a mess right now. That's a really good question. Did he kill them in the dark? And I think that those blinds and stuff were open. And I think that we all know that when we go to bed and we don't close our blinds versus when we go to bed and we close our blinds, our room goes from being pitch black to being, you can see in your room. Now, if there was a TV on, that makes it even, brighter. Even if it's a TV that's on a black screen, you still got something floating across it, and if it's on. I think basically Scott's point about the crime scene and leaving is that crime scene is going to tell you a lot. If there isn't, footprints going out with like boots or something like that, then you have to ask yourself, well, yeah, how did this person leave? There's no, like, the blood dripping of like the knife, or okay, if you put the knife in like a bag, I believe that the killer could have possibly grabbed like a garbage bag and put stuff in like a garbage bag, so that way there would be no drippings. But you know how, like, think about that. That is somebody that is thinking. Okay, that's not somebody that's like rolling on drugs. TNT, your voice tells the truth. Oh, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark. to think when he said, hey, could he have put on clothes that were there from somebody else's, and left his? That only option, I shouldn't say only, but bringing a spare change of clothes. I mean, like I said, if you go there with baggy stuff on and you have like 2 layers on, so then you're taking off a sweatshirt, you're taking off, whatever type of pants, because you'd be covered in blood. You'd be covered in blood. Your clothes would be covered in blood. But if all of that came off and went into a garbage bag, and then you're taking your shoes off, and when you get to the door, taking your shoes off and keeping your socks on and putting your shoes, like that's what I'm saying. Say you'd have to have a garbage bag and everything was in that, and then that's, I do think there was a cleanup sesh, whether it was in that form, but if this was targeted, how do you excuse the fact that the 2 other roommates wouldn't be part of the target? And how do you think they're just going to be sleeping and not wake up? Usually, if you're planning something, just anything in life, when you plan something, when you plan a wedding, think about, you could have, these people say they're going to come, but they're never going to show up. You're thinking of things that could happen. So how could you not take into account the 2 roommates? I don't know. Yeah, Scott really wants to see. He's like, I would love to see that crime scene, just because you can eliminate so much thing. Like, you're going to start eliminating before you're just like, that's how you're going to get to something, is you're going to eliminate. You'd be able to tell where an attack started, And then what would happen in court, though, it's like anything when you have these experts. You're going to have somebody arguing one way, and you're going to have somebody that can argue another way. So, I think you pretty much said it, that he doesn't think that forensics is going to solve this. He thinks it's going to be somebody that is going to cough up the killer, whether it's like, hey, this person normally does this, this, and this, but they've been doing this. He thinks it's going to be something like that. Otherwise, he thinks it could be this type of a situation that's a cold case, and that's why he would tell the families to go get private investigators and interview every single person that you possibly can, and get a hold of every single picture that was taken in the past, at least month, and go through photos and see, who is this person, have you seen this person before, and start eliminating. And the surviving roommate should be able to help you with that. Like, has this person ever been in this house? So I just hope that there's some type of relationship there, because with the surviving roommates and the parents, let me ask you this, Melinda. When you say, I think they have a good idea, who it was, why do you say that? Is it because of the evidence that they have? Or, like, why do you think that? I'm just curious. I mean, you know who was there. Was Ethan's brother and sister were there. the one vehicle is Ethan's sisters. The thought of them seeing their trip, like, that's just awful. That's so sad. Yeah, that's the one that's there in inside the tape. That's one of the people that was over there that morning, and that was there. That Ford SUV. That's the sister's new vehicle. Nancy Grace is calling the Elantra a murder car. You guys, when you hear things like that, law enforcement isn't going and asking for surveillance tapes until 9 days later, when you have the number of resources that you have on, like, that's the first thing that you do. Like, you know, all, like, banks and ATMs, they always, like, that's always loaded with cameras, traffic cameras. I mean, come on. But when you hear, like, they waited 9 days to contact a local business for their surveillance, it's like, well, why? Why wouldn't the first thing that you do in a small town like that, when you're at your presser, hey, ladies and gentlemen, those of you guys that own small businesses, we're going to cut up a bunch of flyers, but we're asking you, can you please save your footage from this time to this time? We're giving you guys a heads up now because we're going to try to be getting around to all of the businesses to gather this. And we know that some stuff deletes after, 7 days. Say something like that to have these businesses save their footage. But they put out these pressers every other damn day. And all you would have to do is, mind blown. To lose footage because you didn't do that. Not saying that it's happened, but it's being alleged. But I would just think that check your footage. And they were saying things like, in this little area here, they were talking about residents. Like, look at your stuff. Like, no, you need businesses to look at their stuff. You need, hey, we just want this time frame from this to this. You guys think the murders happen between 3 and 4. You come right out the gate saying that. Well, how about you have everybody look at their cameras from 12 to 5, 12 to 6 that day? I will say it on the record. I think the president made a huge mistake by making it Zoom only. I said it back then, and I will say it again. I said that 4 weeks ago. I said, if you tell everybody that they can learn remote through Zoom, you're basically giving every single person an answer for why they would have switched their pattern of, like, up in their life. Why they stopped coming to school. Oh, the president said we could do remote learning. I would have made it so that the kids had to ask, and once they asked, I would have allowed it. But they would have had to ask. They would have had to do it through email. They would have had to do it through Zoom, like a face-to-face Zoom. But, like, right off the rip, you're allowing, if Tommy doesn't come to class, and we haven't seen Tommy, and Tommy usually hangs out also at this bar, we haven't seen Tommy, so, okay, where's Tommy at? Especially if guys didn't return. Think about it. Girls saying that they're unsafe, you're not going to hear guys because they're too macho. They're not going to be like, dude, I'm scared. No, you're not going to hear guys saying that. Because you know what happens? And the other guys are like, dude, you're such a, P. But Scott said it. He said, and when I was listening to him talk about that, your hands would have been bruised and your knuckles. I didn't think about that. So he believes that this person would have had, if you got 11,000 students, 50% of them are female, 50% of them are male. So right there, you're knocking out 5,500. If you have 20,000 people that live in Moscow, 11,500 are male, 11,500 are female. You're throwing stuff out. I don't think that a female did it, but there's also 3 female victims. Are the frat houses shut down? I don't know. I think that they should be shut down for the rest of the school year. It's just crazy. They have this underage drinking task force, and you're thinking to yourself, well, you're just pulling these people out of like Taft Band, whatever that is, the field. Hey, where are you guys coming from? Matt's house. What do you mean where they're coming from? You see that they probably just came out of a fraternity. So who's supplying the underage drinking? Who's buying these people the beer? A real task force asks those type of questions. 3 kids walking out of Sigma Chi. You guys are sloshed. Well, I couldn't tell. They were perfectly fine to me. Yeah, Scott said that too. They should be in shock. I mean, that's not a normal scene, and they're not used to that. This isn't a big city. No one should be used to that, though. What else? Hot Ham Radio. I think the writing's on the wall with why there's so many FBI agents involved. I think the scene, looked, when you actually, like they said, that we take the totality of this. We believe that somebody was the target. Remember all that? The totality of it. The totality of the evidence. The totality of the evidence. In my opinion, the totality of the evidence, something that's part of that is going to be that the killer, how did they have the wherewithal to, there's no blood outside that house. You guys, show me any of those field agents trying to avoid walking into the front door right there or walking into the back door. I have scoured footage. And the only thing that I kind of can't tell enough of is the Kaylee's entrance on top. No, we do not. I wish we did. We state mom. Does anyone know where the surviving roommates were? No. "46 agents, I know, right? I don't know how stuff doesn't fall through the cracks with that many people. People were saying they felt safer after. Nope, they're focusing. You know what's weird is we talked about the other night, the president of the university when he took over in 2019, one of the things that he put in his top 3, and it was like the number one thing, was campus safety. And I was like, wait, I've never known, the University of Idaho to be unsafe. So it was just really weird to read that. Lana is season 4 of Twin Peaks. I am season 4. You guys know that I've never watched Twin Peaks. Should I go do a binge? I am radio. Love that name. Lisa says, how can they not know Ethan and Xana's time gap? Just ping cells. Well, I think it's interesting how they went from saying that they were at a party to then 2-3 weeks later, okay, we're now checking into their 9 to 1:45. I'm still on the whole thing of, how do you know they got home at 1:45? Where's that 1:45 coming from? Because think about it, the people that with the surviving roommates, they went to bed at 1, so how would they know when they got there? So I'm still on that whole. I agree that the killer isn't foolish enough to kill in that town again. I could see that. The thing that I would question is, I don't know what the roommates saw. I don't know. Was one of the surviving roommates one of the unconscious people? And they were actually inside the house unconscious? I don't know. I question the whole telephone aspect of the 911 call. But I think that the reason they cannot release that 911 call is because it would blow up their investigation, because of, I think somebody is talking on the 911 call, passing it around and describing the scene. And that would not be good. That would get out, and you're trying to keep it under wraps. After the transparency, President Green took over after the murder of 22-year-old female grad student by arrestor. That happened in 2011, I thought. President Green took over in 2019. The 2011, that was, no, yep. Yeah, it was 2011 that the murder of, her name is Katie, and it was Ernesto, however he pronounces his name. But Green took over in 2019. He was on a probation period because that's what they do for 6 months. And then he was full-blown president by himself without needing any help 2020. And he gave up a very lucrative job to take that on. Yeah, Chris, I could see that, and I could kind of see it being like when you ask, the next United States of America, the pageant, Miss USA, like, they all say world peace, so kind of like the same thing. Twin Peaks is worth binging, I promise. So great. And I need to go to, season 4? Killer wouldn't trust nobody but himself. Yeah, that's why I believe one person. Hi, Midge. Hi, love. Thanks for being there today. Thanks for a lot of you guys showing up for the live, when it was live. It was awesome to see the number of people and the names that I've seen a lot now recently, and then even from before. So it's great. Yes, the huge backlash in the community. Wasn't that over also Denise Bennett? In case you guys are wondering, but Mr. Green and his wife Gabrielle, they gave $250 to each kid's GoFundMe. So just so you know that. Thought that was interesting. One of the main reasons cold cases get solved years later is because new investigators weren't locked into a leading theory. Absolutely. That was broadcast by a main investigator in the beginning. 100%. That DNA. Also, I'm telling you, when you have this many people, I get it that you're doing it for manpower because you're trying to get... but you better have a really good chain. You better have just an amazing chain. And because all those reports every single day, whoever did what, and just if you have like a really good command center and a very good person like it's organized with that, and I would be like, we're recording everything. You have your body cams on, everything gets recorded. You're a walking cam. You're doing an interview, recorded. And I think this is where it's going to get iffy, is down the road if that stuff's not available. Do you guys understand that they have no idea, in my opinion? Because I think that they were expecting them to have messed up at some point. If it, in fact, it was a student, if it was a kid and hadn't killed before. And I think that once maybe one of the FBI's agents looked at it and they were just like, well, this is like nothing we've ever seen before. This is like something at that scene was really, really telling. But then they tell everybody that there was a target attack, and we do not believe the community is in danger. Those are some pretty big words to say to your community if it's not true, or if you didn't know if that was true. Watch the movie Bully? Okay, no. Oh, God. Kaylee's dad backtracked on that. He said he didn't know if he believed him. To me, the cops were sledding down the hill a couple days later. Wait, what? I missed half of these. I'm in Boise, and my hubby said multiple law enforcement police agencies were parked at our fairgrounds. Ford chain alleging knife dumped in Garden City, where our fairgrounds are located, 2 minutes from us. Yep, they did do that. And see, guys, this is the thing. This is a perfect example, if and in fact this is true. Shells be. This, if it's not a credible, tip and yada, 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 this happens, and then you're taking law enforcement, and they're going and following up on stuff like this, that whoever wrote that has zero class and zero integrity. I'd be trying to get to the bottom of who wrote it. I don't care if it says anonymous. Do you think that really means anonymous? IP address, trace, boom, done. Yes, me too. I gotta go night-night as well. FBI has seen scenes like this. It's just not publicized because they aren't blonde, attractive white college students. Well, I like to think that I follow a lot of this, and I can't tell you the last time that 4 college students, I don't care if they're blonde or black or green or middle of the night while you're sleeping, there was no altercation. It wasn't like it was a domestic situation. And then 30 days later, Rambo style knife. I mean, I can't recall reading about anything like this before. But that's really sad. If you've seen it in your local town, please email me, because I would love to bring that to the forefront. Justice for Morgan. I'm not familiar with 4chan created, but I would like to hear more about your post here if you want to email me. Yep, John, especially, if people are used to fighting in the house or yelling at each other, or, oh God, that's just, Xana and Ethan, fighting again. And, because you hear screaming or something like that, that would make sense to me. But normally there's like words being said. And there's also a difference of like a horrifying scream versus like, I don't know, was the music on, were TVs on? All those things come into play. Like Scott said, it's cold outside, so the heater's on and furnace is running. I think you want to try to get as much information as you can out of those girls, and you'd be asking their other close friends, hey, we just need your help. We need to go through these pictures on their social medias. We need to know who these people are. We need to know if you know any backstory and history of anybody that they've had problems with, issues, and I would start in August. I would definitely start in August, because that's when the house changed. The new roommates moved in August 11th. And I would start literally finding out why the person didn't move in, the 6th roommate, and no, it was not the girl that committed suicide in February. Find out what's been going on for the past 3 months leading up to that, and find out when Kaylee kind of moved out-ish. Find out when her and Jack D, called it quits for a little bit. All of that. Just, you want to get a really, really good timeline down and see, what was their work schedule like. The people that worked at that restaurant, because I think that's where you're at this point. I think that somebody needs to be putting together a ridiculous timeline of people that would be coming into their lives. And I think that it would definitely not be off the table to be looking at the lives of the parents at this point as well. All right, you guys, knives are so personal. Knives are intimate, and go look up about knives in terms of tearing. Go look that up, because both parents use the word tears. And that's what I thought was interesting. So somebody gave them that, you know, Kaylee's dad was like, they said, well, no, sir, stabbings isn't the right word. I don't think he's making that up. And I think that the coroner should just correct it if it was wrong information that's out there. Somebody should go re-interview her. Ask her about it. Even if you report back and someone says they have no comment, go and attempt it and then put it out there that they said no comment. Yeah, you know, Justice Morgan, I had mentioned that just a little bit ago, and I said that that's really unfortunate that they're doing that right now, because when they were putting out those pressers back at the beginning, I keep telling people, I don't understand, that's not the number one thing that you need to get your hands on, because that stuff can go away in 30 days, that stuff can go away in a week. It just depends on each person's unit that they have to secure their place. With everyone's hard drives are different with that, but that should be just right off the rip, and you would just ask the community, even if you have to reimburse people $5 if they got their own thumb drive and brought you the footage from 12 to 5, 12 to 6, or just, you know, the 24-hour period. We're asking for the community's help. If you are a small business owner, if you are a commercial business owner of any property in the Moscow area, we are asking, you know, boom, it's labeled, and then you have it. Because if you don't get it right away, it's gone forever. So I don't understand why that wouldn't happen. It just blows my mind. But see, the FBI was involved so quickly, like, they should know that there should be like a checklist. How do you not have a checklist? That would be on there. But you would just ask for the community's help with that. You don't need to send every officer to every single building, because that's how, like, you know. And then what's with these fraternities not having cameras? That's a load of shit. Unreal. Exactly, Brad. Thank you. A tear, 100%. It's also it's a dig deep down motion, and it's normally that you go, it's an over one. Like when you have to go upwards, that takes ridiculous strength. But when you stab in an overhand motion and then you tear and go down, that's going to be, you don't have to be as strong to do that. Yeah, I could see the sororities having them, because it's girls. It's unfortunate. Speaking of those white Hyundais, we had one that Jonathan Lee Rich has put up on his post. In my hometown, they found a stolen, but it was, I guess, ruled out. I was like, look at that. Jonathan Lee Rich is here. Jonathan Lee investigates for college students. Chippy is my elf. You guys have, oh my god, thank you guys. Just remind me. Elf on a shelf. Oh my gosh. I have to go plant him somewhere. Yeah, the reason I actually wanted to bring that up, oh, here, I want to show you guys a couple pictures too, is because of both Kaylee and Xana's dad, they use the same wording. Okay, by the way, this is Kaylee's post. October 11th. Looking for a roommate to move in with me from February to June. So she was not going to be there in January. Or if she was, she didn't need a place then. I am coming from Idaho, so I am not familiar with the area. So open to living anywhere in the Austin area. I am a 21-year-old girl with a really sweet 20-pound dog. If anyone is looking for a place from February to June in Austin, let me know. 11 emojis, 3 comments. Jonathan has been approaching the students. Oh, I thought he was in Florida. Oh, wait, do you have an email for the channel? My channel? Sure do. Jeff, got an email. Oh gosh, Jeff, I thought at first when I saw your picture, I thought it was, I think, I don't know, Boston, can you throw that in there? Can you throw that in chat? It's Lana at fightforafamily.com. Let's see another thing I want to show you guys. There's that. And then okay, yeah, this is it. So I did some digging, and this is the photo from the Sigma Chi house, okay? And it's right where the fence is. And I'm really questioning the angle of this photo with the body cam, because everything that I've uncovered is it's the bathroom is the middle. So the bathroom's in the middle. And then you have the 2 bedrooms up top, you know, they're the, you know, outside windows or on the far right and far left. And then the bathroom is the middle light window. Have any of you guys ever looked at that? Let me zoom in a little more. Okay. Okay. So I kind of like really zoomed in. Do you see how you can't see the third window? You got the 1, 2, but you can't see the third one. Do you guys see that? Hot Ham says, I need to look at this tomorrow. Hot Hot Ham, you don't gotta look at this tomorrow. I'm just saying, do you see how you can't see the third window? You can see the one on the right, the one in the middle, and then you need the one on the left. But you can't see it, right? See how like the trees, the leaves are covering it? I think it's interesting because could it be that the light people are talking about, if it even is a light from the house, could it be the bathroom light in the middle? What floor is that? That's the top floor. That's the... There's a wee gap you can make out the window. I was waiting for... Where is it? Hold on one second. Did I just pull up the wrong one? Look at 1147 King Street on Zillow X House. Ooh. Clear shot of their house is creepy. See, I think they came from the back. I don't think they were anywhere near that front of that house. Hot Ham Radio. I just love saying that name, guys. Okay. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this. How do I share that? There you go. I mean, I think stuff like this is just, it's part of like their social media, but it's called Deadly, Dedly. And Sigma rule number 1, eliminate the biggest threat in the room, September 20th, 2021. And that's actually the Jack K guy, Jack K. I mean, all these guys have an obsession with knives. So to like hear Scott say like, yeah, this person's very, dude, all these people are obsessed with knives. And then here's the follow-up to that. Pretty much everybody is a hunter in Idaho, so. And then check this out. I just think it's somebody that knows how to edit. September 19th, which would be actually the day before that post, this is posted. Deadly. Face reveal and consistent posts. And again, this is from that Jack K. And look at it, it's like you took the hat off, but there's no head. Like, because it was like, cut off. Oopsies. Yeah. So that was stuff that they posted on this Deadly site. And that was Jack K's postings. Jack K is the one Venmoing with Ethan, fraternity kid. Hi, Laurel. How are ya? We're just looking at some of our photos. You guys, I'm not a hunter. I've never killed an animal before, but this is a trigger warning, so you don't have to look at this, but this is this how you would do that? Is this how you would, I don't know, gut and clean an elk? Everybody says no, but again, trigger warning. I mean, is that normal? I don't know. You don't have to look at the screen. I just was zooming in on the knives. See that axe like that? I found one of those. See that? It's like a hand axe. See that? How many? Like 1, 2. What's over there? That's by the. Is that just a shadow? Is that a holder by the Dr. Pepper? Sorry guys, you don't have to look at it, but I was just wanting to know about it. No, but you do have to see it. It is normal for hunters. They could care less about animals. Yeah, but you have to protect the meat that you're getting. Wouldn't you That's like a total job that you would do when you took your prey home. Just curious what you guys think. That's a mess. Have to drain blood. Interesting about the Google Trends on their names prior to the murders. Is it normal for people bands to trail a month before? Depends on what was going on. If they have OnlyFans, yeah, sure. Usually when people are like, I can't find their names and stuff like that, you guys, people don't usually put their real names down for OnlyFans. No setup for cutting and skinning. I'm just... Yeah. Don't they have like usually like a pop-up table, or is that like too fancy? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a hunter. Imagine if that food truck footage didn't exist. That's why I think that if Kaylee got a picture like I think she got it on her phone when she acted like she was taking a picture of Maddie, but she was really taking a angled back selfie that was intended to catch hoodie guy. Let's see what else I got. Clean boots. Oh, here you go. I'm going to show you guys something. Again, this is just speculation, but Xana had that TikTok, and on that TikTok, you can see Jack Showalter, and he has his infamous. By the way, who's ever saying Terry is an extrovert? Terry is the stuffed animal, by the way. People that are saying that Jack calls himself Terry, I just don't believe that that's the case. Terry is the stuffy animal. So here you go. But he's wearing the same black hat right here that he is in the hoodie pic. He takes his hat and he turns it, frontwards, but it was backwards when he had his hood up, and then he takes his hat off and does his thing. But that black hat is the same, that I believe the same black hat in the hoodie pic. But this is Terry right here, this little furry guy. So, there you go. I think it says, "Don't tread on me." So, but yeah, if you look at the hoodie vid, Hitman would have put a fire or blew up that house. I don't know. Jeez, girl. I don't know about all that. But it's, hey. LOL. But it's his other personality face. Hot ham, that is not true. Yeah. Terry is the little, what do you call it? The little stuffy. I'm always sarcastic. Morning and night. Unusual event. Write that down. Don't know why we would be writing that down. What's that for? Let's see. Just going through our yearbook photos here, guys. Don't mind us. Oh, for fuck's sake. Ridiculous. I still think this is nuts. I'll end on this. This is crazy. This 3:30 Venmo that happened the day before the murders, or like going into the murders. There you go. That's just crazy. Oh, okay, so let me read what this is. That was deleted, that 3:30. So it was Molly paid Liz. Liz is Jack K's sister. Paid her. The amount's not public, but this post was, in the description, it said for 3:30 a.m. And then she deleted it. She's in transparency. The photo of the young man with the animal is called field dressing. The animal after the kill. It has to be done because 9 times out of 10 you walk miles into the hunting area. Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So you would say, as a hunter, that's normal. Thank you. Oh, there you go. I live in Montana. And Army veteran, have a don't tread on me flag. Own many weapons. I protect the Constitution. Never harm anyone except in wartime. Absolutely. Right to bear arms. That's our right. And that shouldn't go anywhere. I agree. I'm all about our Constitution, too. I didn't realize this, though, but when you go to college and you go to the University of Idaho, you give up a couple of your constitutional rights. You should take a look at their handbook, if anybody's bored. Yes, that's awesome. Mark, absolutely. Thank you for your service. Hi, Rose. How are you? Good to see you here. Hi, Rose. Glad you stopped by. Hopefully you're doing well. I think I should start whispering and doing like ASMR. True crime at night. Oh, I just wanted to highlight somebody. Oh, where was it? Thank you, Boston, for saying thank you to Rose. You're so amazing. Oh, thank you there, Justice for Morgan. Thank you. Nikki says, dude, I was just thinking this is calling me like an I know, guys. Just don't mind me over here. Leanna, what were you doing last night? Well, I was just whispering to myself, but other people could hear. What? Oh, yeah, it's this thing I do at night now. I talk about true crime. But yeah, Molly pays Liz on November 12th at 2:45 for 3:30 a.m. And that's pretty much when the murders happen, but she's paying in advance. Again, just she deleted it or possibly made it private. They all made all their social medias. They either deleted or made private. And actually this, oh, here, I'll show you. Actually, now that I think about it, she didn't delete this. She deleted this. She didn't make it private because you can see her other stuff. But there is some posts that you could do private and other ones aren't. It's interesting. Screenshots are forever, though. I know stuff. Bella would be so amazed at my bedtime voice. Tonight I read the book, Charlie Brown's Christmas. And I'm like, God, Charlie Brown, you're such a whiner. I didn't realize what a whiner he was. Andrea's like, thank you for whispering. My husband is trying to sleep. Do you guys ever wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I only got 3 hours of sleep because I couldn't stop thinking about this case? Raise your hand, because it's like all of us, okay? Laurel, thanks. Lana, are you going to be a defense attorney? That is perfect for you. I'd rather be a DA and make sure that corruption stops. I get to pick then who gets prosecuted. I wouldn't be letting people get railroaded. Ooh, and on Venmo you can't go back and unpublic a past transaction, so I don't know how she did that. So basically, you can delete it though, right? Can't you delete it? Yeah, we don't think might not be his first human. I think he's Middletown. Okay. Shout out to Ohio there, Mark. It's interesting. I'm gonna look into that. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Interesting to hear from a hunter's perspective. I mean, I think hunting is a part of life. I love a good steak, but I'm good on, and I don't really like deer meat. So I love our fishermen. Go out there and get me those lobsters and crab legs. And I don't know how people are vegetarians. How do you guys do it? Tell me the trick, because I just couldn't imagine ever eating meat again. All right. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thanks again. Charlie Brown is a whiny bee. That is the truth. Tell your friends. But yeah, Scott Roeder, one of like literally the best. You ever want someone to look at your case from a forensic standpoint and be able to testify for you as an expert witness, he is, I believe, the best in the nation, and then he is one of the best in the world. So thank you guys for seeing all that and being around for that, and I'm just glad that you guys got to experience it here on this channel. We'll get to experience him again. Aaron, I'm kidding. LOL, say whatever you want. Mod Squad isn't here. I highlighted that so that she could see it in the morning. Gotcha at Boston Sports Atlanta, but you know she's hot, girl. Oh yeah, I saw you throwing some love my way about my God-given, parent-given genes over there. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate your compliments. Sherry, no, absolutely. I do. I like to see everything from both sides. I think it's kind of like law, you know? Especially if you have to go back to our history and people survived off of hunting. It's just, yeah. It's part of life. It's part of history. I don't think that people should be trying to erase history. I think that we can learn a lot from history so that we don't repeat the same mistakes that we made in our past. Speaking of which, asking my kid how he learns math, I'm just blown away. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What happened to flashcards, people? Flashcards. I mean, you want to learn math? You learn flashcards. You want to learn how to add and subtract and divide and multiply. Flashcards. Like, that's like memory, you know what I mean? Ugh. They're like, flashcards? We don't do flashcards. I'm like, well, what do you guys do? Common Core math. If you have 9, you might as well just make it a 10 and drop the 1 off somewhere else. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. My kid's going to be counting on his fingers for the rest of his life. Oh, thank you so much, Suzanne. It's Suzanne, right? Suzanne B. Rock on, Atlanta, baby. Rock on, Suzanne B. Love it. I need to go to sleep, too. I have a busy day tomorrow. I'm going down to the courthouse and filing some PPOs on people. Everybody in Idaho is getting a PPO. Just kidding. From a great interview to a satire whisper, my goodness. I got it all, Brad. Don't think. Don't doubt my skills over there. Oh, it's like OPP. You know me, you down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. Oh, now I'm rapping, Brad, so look out. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for your kindness today. And thank you for being here to engage in the TNT fam of true crime. Thank you, Floydie. Oh, home team all day, every day. Oh, Sherry, thank you. Thank you. Laurel, thank you. Deetra, thank you. Lisa slays. I know Bella loves this name and loves you, so keep on doing what you're doing, girl. Oh, yes. Nikki, absolutely. I feel exactly the same thing about my daughter. I hate the way education has gone. I want damn flashcards, okay? How would I just teach my kid math and you can teach my kid all the other stuff, but I'll do the math part. Math's my jam. AC, thank you. Andrea, tell your husband I said goodnight too, okay? Shh. I mean, how many people's husbands are like, oh God, are you on that YouTube thing again with your obsession with this true crime case, you know? Because you see so many women that are involved, you know, in following true crime and not that many men. I think my channel has like the highest percentage of men that watch, which I love. I'm like over here like, yeah, I got 26% men now. And then some days it drops down to like 22 and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go get some more men on my channel. But yeah, it's an interesting thing though. It's like the women are all over here, you know, learning and watching it because all you guys are the ones committing it. That's what I say. We got to keep our eyes on you. Aw, Paw Paw's a good little nickname. See, funny, mine is snoring away. See, yep. Oh, did I miss it? Oh, I told him I am. Just whatever you guys do, don't be losing your marriages to this, okay? It's just, next thing you know, I swear, like, you just look down and you're like, oh my God, it's 3 hours will go by. And, yeah. All right, guys. Good night. Be safe. Love you, Boston. Till next time.